says here that Galatasaray have made a new contact with Arsenal today over the Gabriel Martinelli deal. Now, what's also being discussed, and this has come from the Daily Telegraph as well as some Turkish sources, is that, I'm going to put this up on the screen so you guys can see this too, and that is that Victor Osimhen's name has been raised between Arsenal and Galatasaray amid discussions regarding the Turkish club's interest in Gabriel Martinelli and Ethan Nwaneri. Now, again, what I find very interesting about Victor Osimhen is that the hype's gone away, but the player is as good as he's always been. 2 or 3 summers ago, everybody's like, buy, I want him. Arsenal fans, United fans, Chelsea fans, on nearly every show when a striker was being discussed, they wanted him. And I feel that the buzz has maybe gone slightly. People are, I don't know about him anymore. He's still a top player. Now, again, I think Arsenal are still deliberating here. Do they go for a left winger or do they go for a striker? But Victor Osimhen at the right price, and then a decent left wing replacement at the right price on the left-hand side, you got a bagsman there. Now, I don't know how a number 9 works with Kai Havertz and Victor Gyökeres. I don't. Who drops down the pecking order? Because Victor Osimhen becomes number 1 for me. I think Kai Havertz should become number 3. That's just my view. Gyökeres should be number 2 if Osimhen comes in. But there are these links tonight, and I would love to get your views. What the Telegraph says here, Galatasaray have offered 39 million for Gabriel and also shown interest in Ethan Nwaneri. But we know Arsenal have had a long-standing interest in Julián Álvarez, which hasn't gone away. But maybe this is an option. Osimhen's wages are ridiculous, but Victor Osimhen will score you a lot of goals. So yes, he's got massive wages. But remember, you haven't got to worry about the wages so much. The image rights will play a part in this because of how much bigger Arsenal are and how big the Premier League is. But this man has scored 59 goals in 74 games for Galatasaray. 59 goals in that amount of games. And the one thing I look at with attackers, because I think it's worthwhile, you look at that as a percentage, okay? That means he's scoring in 79% of his games. I don't know how many assists he's got, but 79% of his games. It is a very, very, very good ratio. It was 60% when he was at Napoli, as an example. And part of that was in his younger years as well. He's now in an established point of his career. For me, and someone here says Osimhen looks more pushed by Galatasaray. That could be very true. That could be true. But I'd be welcoming him with open arms. I think he's a phenomenal player. But remember, his first year at Galatasaray, 37 goals in 41 games. This man has scored. He scored 7 Champions League goals last year. This man has got, in his career, as 26 European goals in 42 games. It's a good ratio. In fact, it's a very good ratio. Let's just do that again. 46 divided by 42. 61% of his European games he scored in. And I don't think he's ever played for a team anywhere near as good as this Arsenal side. It's one to explore at the right price, of course. But I'd love to get your take on this. I'd love to get your take. I'd love to get your views. I know there's a Neto link in there as well. I've said it all along. I think Chelsea want like 70 million. I think anybody that's prepared to pay 70 million pounds for Pedro Neto needs sectioning. And if Arsenal make that deal, if City make that deal, I'm going to criticize it. If Man United make that deal, I'm going to criticize it. Again, value. He's a 40 million pound player. Spend 40 million.
Focusing on Galatasaray. He's Galatasaray's main guy. On a great deal there at the moment, £300,000 a week. Why wouldn't you focus on that? And they just won the league and you're the star guy. But he did say, and these are his quotes, he says, "We'll see and think about what comes next then." That's what he said. Those are his quotes. he's not ruling out a move to Arsenal, is he? He's not saying he's actively looking to get out of the club or anything like that. He's not ruling out a move to Arsenal. Remember, the sort of rumours came about because Galatasaray are interested in Martinelli. And during those talks, Andrea Berta apparently said to him, well, how much would, what would it take to get Osimhen away? Would you sell him? Now, listen, Galatasaray don't want to sell him. But again, if the offer's right, it could happen. Osimhen, from what we've been told, would love to come to Arsenal. Going to be an interesting one to watch between now and the end of the transfer window. It's just, where does he play? That's the other thing. I mean, all right, if Gabriel Jesus moves on, he could replace him. But does he want to come and not be the main guy? One to watch. Martinelli, as I said, was just talking about there, was linked with a move to Galatasaray. David Ornstein confirming yesterday that he does not want to move to Galatasaray. He's told Arsenal not interested in moving to Turkey, but he's got clubs lining up for his signature. Another one in the now is Napoli. They're the latest club that's said to be interested in Martinelli. I only think he will leave if Arsenal brings someone in that left wing position, or maybe if they brought in an Osimhen, then someone's going to have to go to pay for all of this, and it probably would be Martinelli. But at the moment, he's happy to stay at Arsenal, even though lots of clubs are lining up to sign him. And Ethan Nwaneri is an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, we've all been talking about Mars Lewis Skelly and the links with him links with him possibly moving away. What about Ethan Nwaneri? Mikel Arteta asked about him yesterday, and he admitted, he said, listen, this kid, he said, I don't want to lose him, but he needs to play. He needs to play football. And it does, with what Mikel Arteta sound like, they're either going to sell him or loan him out this summer. I'd be very surprised as Ethan Nwaneri, who plays in midfield, again, that midfield stacked, if he's still at Arsenal by the end of the transfer window. I think one of two things, either a loan for the season, or maybe selling him with a big, clause in there that they could buy him back. And I'd heard that that clause could be like, say, 50 million, and Arsenal can automatically buy him back or get first refusal if he's to be sold anywhere. AC Milan, latest club to be showing a lot of interest.
The Barcola story is particularly intriguing because Arsenal's interest appears to be focused on a player who can alter the tempo of an entire match. There are moments when Arsenal can dominate possession for 10 or 15 minutes without finding the breakthrough. Against those opponents, having a winger who can receive the ball and immediately attack the defender changes the equation. That's where Barcola becomes interesting. He doesn't need 5 touches to make something happen. One acceleration can open the pitch. One run can drag 2 defenders out of position. One successful dribble can turn a harmless possession into a chance. For Arsenal, that kind of unpredictability could be extremely valuable. But then there's Victor Osimhen, and this is where the potential plan becomes even more aggressive. Osimhen offers a completely different attacking reference point. He's the type of striker who can occupy both centre-backs, attack crosses, stretch defensive lines and turn half chances into goals. His physical presence would give Arsenal another method of attacking when intricate combinations aren't working. And that could be the real attraction. Imagine Arsenal having the ability to switch between patience and directness. Build through midfield when the opponent sits deep. Use Barcola to isolate a fullback, then find Osimhen inside the penalty area. Or move quickly in transition and let Barcola attack open space while Osimhen races towards the box. Suddenly, Arsenal wouldn't have to rely on one attacking pattern. They would have options. And options are what separate good teams from championship-winning teams. However, there is a huge difference between pushing for a transfer and actually completing one. Arsenal would have to navigate financial demands, negotiations and competition from other clubs. Osimhen's availability alone could create a complicated market, while Barcola's importance to his current club means any serious approach would require significant persuasion. That's why the next phase will be fascinating. Will Arsenal concentrate their resources on one target? Could they somehow pursue both? Or is the interest in one player connected to what happens with the other? Those are the questions that make this story much bigger than 2 individual rumours. There's also a psychological element. If Arsenal genuinely push for two elite attackers at the same time, it tells the rest of Europe that the club's ambitions have changed. They aren't simply trying to improve the squad. They're trying to overwhelm opponents with depth and quality. And that matters when you're competing in the Premier League, where the smallest weakness can decide a title race. For Arsenal supporters, this is the part of the transfer window where imagination starts running wild. Barcola cutting inside from the wing. Osimhen attacking crosses. Bukayo Saka creating from the opposite side. Martin Odegaard supplying the final pass. Declan Rice controlling the midfield. Suddenly, the attacking possibilities become enormous.